back to our channel. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are an American family of 6 who moved from America to Germany in February of 2021 with our 4 kids.
And a cat.
And we're sharing all of our adventures with you. So we have been doing a school series the past 3 weeks? Or...
something like that.
Yeah, 3 weeks. So we started off kind of with a culture shocks video and a general Germany culture shocks video, so you can check that out. Then we've got one for kindergarten culture shocks, and then we have one for our experience in kindergarten with our 4, well, she started when she was 4, but now she's 5, our daughter. And then we talked about
Grundschule.
They say we say grün still.
You pull it out too. The U is supposed to be very short. Grund. Not Grund. Grund.
Is that right?
Grundschule.
Grundschule. Grundschule. I listened to it on Google today, and I could not hear the difference. So Grayson says Grundschule, much better than us. You say it, Grayson.
Grundschule.
Do it again.
Grundschule.
Okay, and how would you say Realschule?
Realschule.
And Mittleschule?
Mittleschule.
And Hauptschule?
Hauptschule.
And Gesamtschule?
Gesamtschule.
Isn't that better, Germans?
Grundschule, Grundschule, Grundschule. Grundschule, Grundschule, Grundschule.
So 2 of our boys started in Grundschule when we moved here in February. The other one was in Mittleschule. So this week is all about...
the path of getting our 2 boys into Gymnasium.
Which was...
It was an ordeal, but it happened.
A lot of work.
So we've already spoiled the end of the story by saying they're in Gymnasium. So
yeah.
we've already given away the punchline. Given away the punchline.
That's all, folks.
But some people might be interested to know our journey and how it went for us in case they have to do a similar thing. And we can share our experience of what it was in our case. I'm sure it's different everywhere. Everyone's going to have a different experience depending on where they move to, when during the school year they come. So it's it might well depend, but this is at least the one data point that we have of being here and going through this process.
And we live in southern Bavaria, so that gives you some reference as to where we are. So if you've got experience with Gymnasium or Realschule or Mittleschule or Hauptschule or Gesamtschule. How many more?
How many are there?
Are there more?
Well, maybe we should do just a quick overview.
Let us know in the comments.
We can do a little quick overview of the school system in general here in Germany, where you have Grundschule, which is essentially the same as elementary school back in America. So in 5th grade, you split into choosing a different school to go to. And here in Bavaria, it's between Mittleschule, Realschule, and Gymnasium. From what I understand, most of the rest of Germany doesn't have Mittleschule, but it's called Hauptschule instead of Mittleschule. So Gymnasium is more for the college-bound. It's college preparatory school. In Realschule, there is a path to go to college. You can add that on to the end of Realschule, but it's more for learning a trade and going through an apprenticeship. And then Mittleschule or Hauptschule is a bit of a shorter education, and it's a little bit more focused on vocational and getting a job. At least that's our limited understanding of it. There's a lot of others that have looked at this in much more depth. So who would you recommend for a good deep dive into German school systems?
Yeah, Feely from Germany. That's her new channel name, right? Feely from Germany. Felicia, she has a fantastic video on the school system in Germany, and I'll link it in the description box below.
So a bit on the timeline, as you probably know from our intro, we moved here in February of 2021. It was the middle of February. Actually, Valentine's Day is when we arrived.
On Valentine's
right in the middle, and then we were in quarantine and got ourselves settled, and it wasn't actually until the beginning of March that our kids actually began in school. So before they started school, we went to the school and they had a little interview with their teachers. And so Gabriel was with the 6th grade teacher and Grayson was with the 4th grade teacher. And one of the things that they decided at that point is because Gabriel was at the age to already have been in one of these 3 schools outside of Grundschule, they recommended to place him into 5th grade so that he would have a little bit more time to be able to adjust to the language. And we had done some Duolingo and had done some studying German, but it was very, very basic. So the kids were basically starting from nothing. So, so then we started that school year in March, where Grayson went into 4th grade and Gabriel went into 5th grade. And so normally when kids start in school, that's when they really learn the language because they're in school every day, they're getting their instructions, being with their teachers, with their friends, and meeting kids. But this was
not when there's COVID.
Not when there's COVID. So actually, Gabriel in 5th grade, he had 100% distance homeschooling. He didn't even go to school,
at all
until late May, I think it was the first time. It was the first time he actually went to school. So he wasn't actually physically in school. Then the Grundschule kids, they had Wechselunterricht, where they went every other day to school. So Grayson and our younger one, Griffin, they were going every other day, but still it wasn't total immersion.
So when you hear about kids coming to foreign countries and how fast they can learn a new language, well, that's when they're going to school 5 days a week and they're in school 6 hours a day, right? So for us, it was 6 hours twice a week, or 6 hours. Well, it wasn't even 6 hours. It was like 8:30 to 11:30 or 8:30 to noon. And so, 4 hours, 3.5 hours. So our kids just got a little tiny bit.
Yeah, and Gabriel nothing because he didn't even go.
Gabriel nothing. Yeah.
I mean, he had some lessons that he would do on video conference, but it's not quite the same immersion.
So lesson number 1, don't move to a new country during a global pandemic. Hopefully no one will ever have to say that ever again, right?
Hopefully not.
It was obviously nothing anyone could help, and the school was doing the best they could, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it was hard.
So that was starting in March, and already in April, Gabriel's teacher was telling us, hey, Gabriel's really smart. He needs to be in Gymnasium. He absolutely needs to be in Gymnasium. You've got to start talking to these Gymnasiums and try to get him in somewhere. And, this was not, barely 2 months after we had moved here. We're still, recovering from our shell shock of everything.
We're still just learning servus.
Yeah, right. And so, let alone, being able to have a conversation about schools and where to go, or even know what schools there were. We had to do
anything.
We had to do our research, and there were a handful of schools in our Kreis that they could go to, but just trying to figure them out. And some of them focus on social sciences and languages, others focus on natural sciences and technology, and those were more the ones that our children are more interested in. So right there, it cut away. A couple of the Gymnasium were not even useful for us because they were in that language and social science side. So we identified which ones might be best. There was a natural science and technology one that was reasonably close, not in our town, but not so far away. And so eventually we get up the courage to send emails to these places, and eventually we made an appointment to go and visit this gymnasium. And so we, both Sarah and I wanted to go. And so, but the only way we could go is take the whole family, all 4 kids, and we go and pack in the principal's office with the little ones, and they're not wanting to be there. And it was, but anyway, it was crazy. And then the principal's like asking questions of our children in German, asking them math questions in German from this principal behind his desk to our poor kids w'ho've been in Germany for 2.5 months.
With barely any classroom experience.
With barely any classroom experience. And, so, they equipped themselves pretty well, but, it was difficult for them. And so the result of that was the principal said, okay, well, Grayson, he's in 4th grade. He's going through all the normal process to get into Gymnasium. He can make the normal transfer, but he couldn't really because he had no grades. Normally you need to have, I think it's a 2.33 average of your grades to be able to go from Grundschule into Gymnasium. But he didn't have any grades. We'd only been here 2.5 months, so we had nothing to be able to show in terms of what their grades were. And so he said, well, the only way he can get into our school is if he takes the Probeunterricht, which is this big, massive test for those students that don't have the grades to get into Gymnasium. That's the test that they take to prove that they're at the right level. And that Probeunterricht was 2 days after when we were there. So it was like that week. It was later that week.
Yeah.
And
now that we talk about it later, it just sounds absolutely crazy that we were even considering any of this.
And I asked him, I was like, well, do you think Grayson has a chance to pass that? And Grayson actually he was speaking decent German.
He was speaking good German.
He was. And so the guy's like, well, yeah, I think it's possible. And then they sent me a sample test, and I looked through that, and I was comparing that with the homework Grayson was doing, and it was nothing like, it was way more advanced. And I was like, there's no way Grayson's going to be able to pass this test. It's just going to put him through all this stress, and then he's going to feel bad because he didn't pass it. So the principal said, the only way Grayson's come in here is if he passes the Probeunterricht. And Gabriel, the only way Gabriel could come is he could come as a Gastschüler, a guest student, for I think 2 or 3 months in the beginning of the school year, where he wouldn't be graded in those first few months, but he would have to repeat 5th grade. Now remember, Gabriel was supposed to already be in 6th grade last year. And so he was held back into 5th grade already once, and this guy was asking him to be back again in 5th grade when his teacher in Mittleschule was telling him he's very smart, he has to go to Gymnasium.
So he would be 2 years older
He would be
than all
2
of his
years
classmates.
older than all of his classmates.
We were like, eh.
And I was like, that's not a good situation. I'm trying in my German, my baby German of, 3 months worth of being here, trying to explain,
We actually understood a lot. Do you know?
I did.
We were doing pretty good. It was complicated academic German. It's not just like, hi, how are you? Ich komme aus den USA.
Right.
It's like, it's complicated academic German. And I remember even in that meeting actually understanding quite a bit of what he was saying. And I was shocked that I could actually understand it.
Yeah.
But you understood it and were able to talk. I think we were doing great, and we didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah. And so I was talking to him like, well, this doesn't make sense. Why can't there be some exception, or it just seems he's very smart. He'll catch up. You just give him some time. And the guy's like, well, in 6th grade, you have to take your 2nd foreign language. Obviously, English is the first foreign language, so you'd have to take Italian or French or something. And the principal's saying, well, if he can't speak German now, how is he going to learn this next language when he's being taught in German? It's just not possible.
Which is true.
Well, kind of true. Gabriel's, he's taking French right now, and he's doing okay.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
I said to this guy, it's like, well, what about all of the immigrant children who come to Germany and are in the Gymnasium age? What do you do with them? And he said, he flat out said to me, he said, Gymnasium is not an option for them. Flat out. It was literally that. He said, if you come as an immigrant child and you do not know German, you cannot go to Gymnasium. And I was just flabbergasted by that. And I was shocked and hurt that there was no option for Gabriel.
And what I think he should have said was, at my school, immigrants can't, do well. And that's really what the lesson that we ended up learning was. This isn't, again, this is schools, every school is different.
And every principal has, they can make the exceptions, and they are the ones running their school, and he is a very strict guy, and he wants to keep his school in a particular way, and okay, that's fine. But at the time, I didn't even really realize that. I thought these are like German rules.
Yeah,
and
this is across Germany,
across the board, you have no hope,
Yeah.
And so
we were very upset.
Yeah, walked away from that and was very upset.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for our kids? We brought them to this new country, and now they're not. We don't know what their future is going to look like. This isn't good. We were worried.
So That gymnasium was the closest and most convenient for us. That's one of the reasons why we were looking there. And so then I was sending out some emails to some other places.
And it was most highly recommended. It is known for being the strictest, the toughest, but also the best.
Right.
You know?
So we thought that would be a good choice. So I was emailing some of the others. There was one that one of our friends has their child in, and I emailed that gymnasium. And actually, I talked to the guidance counselor there, the Beratungslehrer. I talked with the Beratungslehrer there, and he said, yes, actually, he had talked to the principal, and Gabriel could come as a 6th grader there, but that he wasn't sure about Grayson. And so, but that he was going to talk to the principal about his situation too, and we would see. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's hope. There's hope for Gabriel to get into 6th grade in a gymnasium. And so I made an appointment and went to go fill out the paperwork for them. And I got there, and then I sat down with the principal there and flipped the script on me and said, well, yes, there was for sure a place for Grayson. And actually, that day I filled out the paperwork to enroll Grayson. But that Gabriel, they weren't sure that the 6th grade class, the upcoming 6th grade class, was very full. And they weren't sure if there was going to be a place for him. And he said, well, we think there's a 75 to 80% chance that there's going to be a place for him, but we won't know that until the middle of July. And this was, May. This was the middle of May. And I was like, oh, gosh, well, school starts in September. And that's the place we really wanted him to go, especially to be in the same place as Grayson so they could go together to the same school and help each other. So that's what we wanted. And
that gymnasium was different than the one that we had been told, no, you can't come here. Because the other one is very science and technology, very strict oriented. And the one we ended up talking to that said, yes, Grayson can come, is a lot more progressive in their teaching methods. They like to try new and different things. They seem to be a lot more artistic and flexible. And anyway, once we got to know this other school more, we realized, oh, this is a better fit because
maybe it would be,
for foreigners it's nice to have a school that's more flexible and more progressive for foreigners, in our situation.
So, then we're just holding out hope that Gabriel's going to be able to go. And so as a backup plan, I went and contacted another gymnasium. Now that one was even farther away than this one. It was more like 35 minutes away, drive. And then by bus it'd be even shorter. Even longer by bus. And so I went and met with them, and I talked with the secretary, and I explained the situation to her, and I'm like, Gabriel's really smart. It doesn't seem right to have him be held back 2 years. And she's like, yeah, I think our principal would probably be willing to consider that. Let me talk to him, and I'll get back to you. And I was excited. Maybe that was going to be a good backup plan. And then it turns out that the principal at that one went back and called the principal from the first gymnasium, and they got together and got to talking and said, no, Gabriel definitely has to repeat 5th grade for that second time. There's no way. And so they got together and decided that he had to be 5th grade or nothing. So then at that point we're pretty much out of options. We gotta hope that he gets in at the other one. So it was. And
maybe we should say also that there's nothing wrong with going to Realschule. At that point we realized, okay, our boys may be going to Realschule, and that's okay. Obviously there's nothing wrong with Realschule, and you can go to college from Realschule. And we started to believe, well, maybe this is what sort of the universe is putting us on that path, and maybe Realschule would be the best for our kids because we know it's a great option for so many German kids.
Right.
So we thought, well, we know Realschule is good. We know they will learn everything they need to learn in order to succeed in life in Realschule. So, oh well.
Yeah. And then luckily when it came around, we're sweating bullets, just waiting for February.
Yes, for those 2 months. waiting for July to
Waiting
roll
for
out.
July to come around.
Yeah, I was, constantly, I was so worried those 2 months, and I kept coming to Kevin like, don't you think, is there some other option? Is there some other school we should talk to? We've got to have a backup plan. If we're only waiting for this one school to tell us yes or no, what are we going to do if they tell us no? We have no other, we don't even have them enrolled in a Realschule somewhere. We've got to, we need a backup plan. And you kept saying, I just think this is it. I think this is the one, and I think it's just going to work out. And towards the end of summer, as I was talking with some of my friends here in the neighborhood and some of my German friends, they were telling me that it's totally normal that we had not heard from the Gymnasium yet, and we didn't know exactly where they were going to be, what teachers they were going to have, if they were even in the school yet. They were saying that it's very normal that you don't learn, at least around here, you don't hear from the school until just a few weeks before the school starts sometimes. So they were like, oh, that's totally normal. You're not supposed to hear early. So that's something we didn't know. Yeah. So once we learned that and learned that's how the system works, then we could relax and be like, okay, so we just got to trust the process. And we know that their teachers want them in Gymnasium and say they should be in Gymnasium. So we just have to trust the German process. And in my heart, the whole time I knew that this school, that's the more artistic one, was the right one. I knew that this is where the boys were supposed to be. It's just that only thing I can say is that mother's instinct that you just know this is where they're supposed to be. So I was worried and wanted Kevin to, we got to contact more schools. We got to have a backup plan. But at the same time, I was also had peace. This is the right place for them. And I think they're going to get in. So for Gabriel, our oldest, we knew that Gymnasium, we just knew 100% that Gymnasium is the right place for him. He's a very academic student. It's good for his personality. We knew he would thrive in there.
Plus his teacher identified that just after a month and a half or 2 months.
Yeah.
That's where he needs to be.
And for Grayson, he's more of a laid-back kid, and he's very intelligent, but we didn't know if he would like the pressure of a Gymnasium and if he would like the academic pace that it goes at. He doesn't like to do things very quickly. He likes to take his time and do things at his own pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till he's got him perfect.
Yeah. So we thought actually all along that Realschule might be the best place for him. So only time will tell. And in our next video, we'll cover how both of them are doing in
how
Gymnasium.
they like the new schools.
I can't give away too much.
Yeah, right.
But we did want to split these two videos up for the same reason we had to do with kindergarten.
Just too long.
It's too long, and you guys would be yawning and falling asleep by the end of it. So we had to split it up. All right, guys, so come back next week so you can hear what Gymnasium is like, and we can tell you a lot about the differences, because the differences between middle school and high school in the U.S. and Gymnasium and Realschule and Mittleschule, there's a lot of differences in the way things are done. So come back next week and we'll share more about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate your comments, subscriptions, and likes. And yeah, give us any tips below if you've got some for, doing well in Gymnasium, and for those moving to Germany. Hopefully this gives you a little taste of the system.
Until next week.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Auf Wiedersehen.